Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Did Krishna follow Dharma? While undoubtedly Krishna is the supreme God, nevertheless many of his actions during his avatar on earth are difficult to reconcile with the fact that the avowed purpose of his incarnation was the protection of Dharma. Let's take a look at some of the most common doubts regarding Lord Krishna and their respective responses. There are serious reservations about Lord Krishna's action in the Mahabharata war. Before even the war had begun, Arjuna expressed the noble sentiment of disgust for war and decided to become a sannyasi. Sri Krishna had at that moment the perfect chance of preventing war and the consequent massive bloodshed. Instead, he chose to dissuade Arjuna and advise him to go to war. Nobody only that at many places Krishna advises Arjuna and his brothers to kill their enemies unethically. All the major warriors in the opposite army, be it Vishnu, Drona, Karna, and Duryodhana, were killed by immoral tricks on his advice. How are we to view this action? This is an appropriate question, and the answer begins with an analysis of the circumstances which led to the Mahabharata war. Duryodhana had not only usurped the kingdom of the Pandavas but also ill-treated them in the most ignoble ways, in the basest of actions. He did what is unacceptable to Indian society at any level, tried to disrobe Queen Draupadi, the wife of Pandavas, in his huge assembly. There are many veterans sitting in the assembly while the above ignominy was taking place. They all kept mum. Indeed, people like Bhishma and Drona in the assembly were no doubt very noble and were also fully aware of the heinous crimes of Duryodhana. They had the capacity to jack him also, but they did not. The reason for their inaction was they were living off his food, so they even fought for him in the war. Gratitude to the one who feeds us is of course a great virtue, but it does not mean that he should be supported even in his adharma. All of this gives us an indication of the depths of to which the society has degraded under Duryodhana's rule. If there were misconceptions about Dharma, even in great people like Bhishma etc., it was no surprise that things were much worse with others. This is Adharma at its climax, a situation unacceptable to Lord Krishna. Let us now return to Arjuna on the battlefield. Given such situation in Duryodhana rule, it is absolutely wrong for anyone to adopt an attitude of negligence or fear complex, more so far as Kshatriya who himself is a victim like Arjuna. His dharma is toward the great good and in the context before him it was to root out adharma even if it necessitated a full-scale war. Therefore, the mental state of Arjuna just before the war cannot at all be described as noble. At the best it was muddled. Bhagavan Krishna educated him about the purpose of life as whole and then prompted him to fulfill it by waging the war. Next is a question of the relative military merits of the forces of Dharma and Adharma, i.e. the Pandavas and the Kauravas. The later army was very superior to that of Pandavas, both quantitatively and quantitatively. In fact, the Kauravas army was 1.5 times bigger. Next is a question of the relative. The mighty Bhishma had the boon of choosing his own time away. Drona was the teacher of Pandavas, who were only his pupils. Karna and Duryodhana were superior in warrior to Arjuna and Bhima respectively. So how were they to be faced by Pandavas? It was fight of dharma against adharma. So epics, through important it by itself, becomes secondary in the comparison to what is to be achieved. Consider an example. A criminal is speeding away in a car after committing heinous crimes. The policeman on his trial breaks all traffic rules while chasing him. Normally he is book one who violates traffic rules, but now only simpleton would say that he has to be booked for violating the traffic rules. Similarly, in wars or in life in general, there are levels of values, and one will have to sacrifice a lower value for the sake of higher one. If the two happens to be in conflict, this is exactly what Sri Krishna has done. So we should never commit the blunder of finding faults in either Rama or Krishna or the scriptures in general. It is very difficult for common people like us to understand the subtleties and nuances of Dharma. Therefore, Rama and Krishna were born for the specific purpose of educating us about it. Further doubt is that the same scriptures you swear by also make it mandatory that conjugal pleasure be restricted to one's own life. How when did Lord Krishna enter an amorous spot with the gopis of Vrindavana who were married to someone else? This is a gross misconception in vogue about Krishna, Lord Krishna. Its clarification begins with a brief summary of the Rasa Leela as described in the great scripture Srimad Bhagavatam. It was indeed of night that Krishna set forth the tune from his flute in the forest. The gopis who heard it became intensely attracted to it and ran to the forest, leaving aside anything they were doing then and there instantly. Some stopped cooking, some stopped feeding, some stopped eating, some stopped washing clothes, etc. and ran away. The moment the gopis reached the forest, Krishna asked, "What bring you here? What have you done?" They bent their heads without answering him, and he said, "It is not wrong for noble ladies like you to meet anyone other than your husband at this odd hour." The gopis cried and said, "Krishna, we have come with great difficulty to join you here. You should not reject us like this." Then he danced to play rasa and then among gloomy lotuses. At the end of the narration of the episode by sage Sukdeva, the listener Parikshit expressed the same doubt that had been expressed above, to which Sukdeva ji replied, "Tejiyasam na dosaya, no fault in this for Tejiya," and conducted that indeed the next morning their husband saw the gopis just sleeping by their side. So the clarification hinges on the word Tejiyans, and its meaning should be intensely concerned with the description of rasa. Notice that nobody will be washing clothes or doing cooking etc. in the dead of night. Also, the next morning the husband saw the gopis just sleeping by their side. This goes to believe that rasa was a dream. This is confirmed as follows. Tejiyans means more lustrous. According to Panini's grammar, who is more lustrous than one. Optimism called the wakeful jiva as Vishwa and dreaming jiva as Tejisa. This Tejisa is more lustrous than Vishwa. Therefore, Sukdeva reply means that there is no fault in the activities of dreaming gopis. This is actually exactly what the Brandrakya Upanishads say. For what matter, we all know is ourselves. Nobody deprecates anyone for the faults committed by him in his dream. Why? The external world keeps our mind under the leash when we are awake, but the mind becomes totally free during the dreams and mixes the experience of the real world with its imagination, creating the dream where the little boy Krishna can behave like an adult and lotuses can bloom in the night. Nevertheless, he has to fire first admonish the gopis for their conduct.